South Africa is once again grappling with disturbing allegations of sexual misconduct by teachers from KwaZulu-Natal to Gauteng and the Eastern Cape. Unions, parents and government are calling for swift action as cases of abuse in schools continue to rise. SADTU says its position is clear. No teacher has any right to prey on learners and schools must remain safe spaces for children. Joining us now is SADTU spokesperson Nomusa Cembi and Matlose Moela, ELRC Senior Manager. Ladies and gents, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Nomusa, let me start off with you. Now, SADTU has reiterated its zero tolerance stance. Why are we having this conversation yet again? Right? Because I think if we go back a few months, it was a similar conversation. It obviously seems that the message that you're putting across to your membership is not hitting home.
Good afternoon, Hugo, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, it is very frustrating that we seem to be coming to this topic now and again. And it seems as if more incidents of this nature are taking place. We do not know whether is it more incidents or people are now having a more confidence in reporting these matters. We believe that people now know their rights and they are now reporting these matters. And yes, we appreciate that because we want to see an end to this horrible conduct by our teachers who are meant to ensure or to protect the learners from such conduct and ensure that schools are places where children feel free to be themselves, where children are protected. It is very unfortunate when we see such incidents coming from teachers.
Matlose, the ELRC report shows a sharp rise in sexual misconduct cases. What's driving the increase? Is it a case, as Nomusa says, that there are more cases being reported? Are you able to give us an idea of the numbers of cases that are reported versus those that aren't?
Thank you, Yuko, and good afternoon, as well as to your listeners. Indeed, the cases are increasing as reported at the ELRC. Because when we look at, for example, the previous year, financial year, we had about 114 cases of allegations of sexual misconduct. And with those, we were able to issue about 47 awards, of which 40 of them were in favor of the department. So educators have been found guilty for such sexual misconduct. And the rise, of course, may be as a result of the awareness that is taking place throughout the year.
Matlose, just walk. You said you were able to issue 47 awards. Explain those, please.
The last financial year, in terms of the data that I have, reflects that we were able to issue about 47 awards, and then 40 of which educators were found guilty for sexual misconduct. In other words, about 85% of the cases that were brought before the ELRC, educators were found guilty of sexual misconduct as alleged.
Now, Nomusa, teachers know the rules, right? What does SADTU say to them or say to those who break the rules? And walk us through that entire process, right? From these individuals being found guilty or the allegations occurring to them being dismissed or put before a tribunal and hopefully going before the courts of law.
Hugo, as a union, we are doing our best to ensure that our members and teachers know the rules. And the consequences are quite dire in that they lose if they are found guilty, they can never teach again. They are put in the register of sexual offenders, which makes it difficult even to get a job in any other profession when you are in the register. So the consequences are quite dire, and it baffles us as to why this thing continues, because the consequences mean that you can never be employable again in South Africa as a teacher or in any other profession, because some professions also go and check your name against the the register of sexual offenders.
So, sorry, Nomusa, what I find worrying is that our focus is on a sexual pervert not getting an opportunity to be employed again. Surely the conversation should be about imprisonment and these guilty individuals facing the full wrath of the law, as opposed to, I mean, the conversation about them not getting employed should be 10 years down the road when they are released from prison.
Yes, Hugo, I'm talking about internal processes that are done by the Department of Basic Education. Other processes could be taken further by the parents of the children. They can open criminal cases against these perpetrators, and then they could be sent to jail. This process I'm talking about is internally within the department. However, it doesn't stop parents or anyone to go to court and open criminal cases.
Matlose, so let's pick up on this conversation that we're having and this particular point. Is it left to the parents themselves, once this individual has been found guilty of X number of cases, to then pursue the matter? Is it not an automatic process that if you're guilty, that immediately the cops are onto it and the prosecuting authority is taking you to task if you are indeed found guilty as a perpetrator?
Look, I must distinguish between the processes. As Nomusa has said, indeed, the one that she spoke to was about the internal process in terms of disciplining of the employee when there are these allegations of sexual misconduct. However, it is equally true that when such a case is being dealt with as a misconduct, another parallel process should ensue. In other words, when the department reports the matter to the ELRC as a matter which must then, the educator must be taken through inquiry by arbitrator, the case must again still be opened and reported at the police. So this can be two parallel processes, because with the ELRC, if the matter is reported to us, we conduct what we call inquiry by arbitrator, in terms of which there was a collective agreement where the parties have agreed that where there are allegations of sexual misconduct against educators, such cases must be investigated by the department and then referred to the ELRC once a prima facie evidence surfaces, so that the ELRC can start to begin a process whereby now the matter is scheduled before an arbitrator who's going to inquire into the allegation. And once the educator is found guilty in this process of the ELRC, we are going to refer such a matter, or the list, the educator's name must be referred to Department of Social Development so that they can put him on the register, chapter B of the register of child protection register. That then will bar this educator from entering the system.
Nomusa, I want to touch on some allegations that have surfaced which speak to a number of associations hampering the process. So once a report has been made by a student, I mean, we've read countless stories where the school authorities themselves, right, try to protect the educators. Have you experienced this? How are you encouraging members of your unions to participate in the various disciplinary processes, or certainly bringing these issues to light?
Would certainly not encourage our teachers or our members or principals to interfere with processes of investigating these matters. Schools, there is the department issued some years ago, there is a protocol on how to report and how to deal with these matters. So we'd expect schools to follow that protocol as it gives guidelines as to how they should go about in reporting these matters. We do make our members aware that these things, such conduct is illegal, it's incorrect, it's immoral, it's unethical, and we also make them of the consequences of engaging in such. So we are always at a point where we always try our best to ensure that our members do what is right. We have different campaigns. We even do trainings when we do train even our members as to, you know, if there are changes in the law. There was a change in the law regarding sexual offences. We conducted trainings with our members to make more special principles so that they can know what is happening, what is expected of them when such incidents take place. Besides that, we have also our advocacy campaigns. We have our campaigns like the I'm a School Fan campaign, which is to ensure that we protect our schools as well as the learners and teachers. The campaign extends to also protecting learners. And we also have what we call SADTU Fridays, where first Friday of the month, where we encourage members to wear the regalia of the union, and in that we also we remind them that they have to stick to these two principles. They must ensure that they do not have sexual relations with learners. They must ensure that they do not mete out corporal punishment. They must ensure that they come to school on time, prepared, and teach. So, you know, it's quite a popular campaign amongst our members. They know exactly what they are supposed to do.
Matlose, something that we also run into is the incidents or the multiple cases around a specific teacher. So a teacher might have 2 or 3 cases or multiple accusations. What does it say about the processes within the schools? Are the learners scared, intimidated to bring the issues to the attention of the school, of their parents? Where are we losing it? Because one would imagine that once is enough, right? But if it's happening multiple times by the same individual, then there's a problem there that we need to rectify.
Yes, indeed, you are correct. And in fact, if an educator is found guilty of sexual allegations, he's declared to be unfit to work with the child, and he must then be dismissed, and he must not be found back into the system with the legislation that is now available that cuts across from the child protection register to them being vetted as and when they want to come and get to the system again, for them being blocked on parcel in the department, and again for SAYS having removed them on the register of educators. So there's quite enough legislation that covers this matter such that an educator is not found. However, there are incidences, if say for instance it's only happening for the first time, we are saying educators, the department must immediately suspend that particular educator so that they can begin with their investigations, so that the educator is not at the school where he will threaten or intimidate the child, such that the investigation can flow properly until they send everything to the ELRC for this process of inquiry by arbitrator to ensue.
Nomusa, as we wrap, the one challenge that we sometimes run into, which isn't a lot, is where educators are accused of crime or sexual offences that they actually haven't committed. How do you deal with those issues, and how prevalent are they?
Most of the time, yes, it may be 1 or 2, but most of the time with the processes that are there, they are there to ensure that whatever allegations are there are proven that they are true or they are not true. And so if it's found that the allegations are false, then the teacher is cleared. But it is hard because you find that once you have been accused of such, you know, there's a stigma attached to this, and even if the process clears you, there's always that stigma that is attached. The same as even to the learner reporting these matters. You find that learners would not want to report because of that stigma, and also because of power relations between the teacher and the learner. You know, it takes time for the learners to really come forward and report. However, we are seeing a trend, because the latest, they were even on social media, especially in the Eastern Cape at SJ Skenjana, where it was on social media, where former learners were really talking about this. So we believe that there's a lot, there is change in terms of reporting, and we believe there the systems are in place to ensure that whatever is alleged is proven to be correct or not.
Matlose, as we wrap and looking ahead, how will the ELRC improve speed, transparency and accountability so learners and parents regain trust in the system?
Look, they are getting trust because the cases are being referred, and we try by all means to expedite the cases. There might be challenges because you know that in the schooling system, there are recess periods which may cause delays. There are exam periods where we don't want to tramp on the child's right to education. So we respect those. However, frequently cases are being referred and there's finalization. And where there are people are found guilty, we report accordingly to various other structures. And of course, this is a multi or is a problem that requires a multi-dimensional approach and collaborative efforts. That's why we are making that clarion call again to still continue. The parents should still continue, and any other member, because in terms of the law dictates that any other person who is suspicious that a child is being molested, a child is being abused by an educator, he must make sure that such a matter is reported to the police. So they can report such to the police, they can report to the ELRC, so that we can report to the relevant authorities, should they not be aware of where to report the matters.
Okay, we'll wrap that conversation on sexual misconduct by educators, which is on the rise. The authorities appear to be on top of things. Nomusa Cembi, SADTU spokesperson, and Matlose Moela, ELRC senior manager. Thank you both for speaking to us on that issue.